I've got to come over and see the fake news. Let's go.
Shorn of its rambling character and in not so many words, this is the essence of what the president communicates. We've been very good to your country, very good. No other country has done as much as we have. But you know what? I don't see much reciprocity here. I hear what you want. I have a favor I want from you, though. And I'm going to say this only 7 times, so you better listen good. I want you to make up dirt on my political opponent, understand lots of it. On this and on that. I'm going to put you in touch with people, and not just any people. I'm going to put you in touch with Attorney General of the United States, my Attorney General, Bill Barr. He's got the whole weight of the American law enforcement behind him. And I'm going to put you in touch with Rudy. You're going to love him, trust me. You know what I'm asking, and so I'm only going to say this a few more times, in a few more ways. And by the way, don't call me again. I'll call you when you've done what I asked. This is, in sum and character, what the president was trying to communicate with the president of Ukraine. It would be funny if it wasn't such a graphic betrayal of the president's oath of office. As an aside, I want to mention that my colleague is right on both counts. It's not okay, but also my summary of the president's call was meant to be at least part in parody. The fact that that's not clear is a separate problem in and of itself. Of course, the president never said, if you don't understand me, I'm going to say it 7 more times. My point is, that's the message that the Ukraine president was receiving in not so many words. Mr. Carson.
Chairman Schiff, but was it right for him to have that dramatic interpretation of the president's transfer of the phone call at the hearing last week?
I want the American people to know what that phone call was about. I want them to hear it. So yeah, it's fair, it's sad, but it's using the president's own words. So if he's...
Well, those weren't the president's words. It was an interpretation of the president's words. They're saying he made this up.
He did not make it up. Look, I want to tell you something. When I took the oath of office to support and defend the Constitution, as my colleagues have done as well, I did not say I will do this as long as the Republicans can understand the Constitution. So the fact that their loyalty is to Trump and not to the Constitution is not going to slow down or impair our ability to keep the Republic.
These people are sick.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. For 2 long years, Jim Comey has played the role of America's moral martyr, and for 2 years, it's basically worked for him. In the closing days of 2016, you'll remember, Comey was likely the most hated man on the American left. That bizarre press conference he held in July of that year in which he described Hillary Clinton as legally innocent but morally guilty may in the end have cost Democrats the election. It's possible, and they hated him for it. Less than a year later, though, Donald Trump fired Jim Comey as FBI director, and whatever Trump dislikes, liberals love, and so Comey was back in their good graces once again. He's done his best ever since to remain there. Comey titled his book A Higher Loyalty, meaning that he, unlike you, is a man of principle, accountable only to his God and conscience, in contrast to your grubby little political concerns. Jim Comey is the last honest man in America. He makes that point every time he appears in public. And as a man of integrity, Jim Comey would like you to know that despite the fact he's got no actual evidence to support the claim, he's pretty certain Vladimir Putin has been blackmailing Donald Trump since day one.
Honestly, never thought these words would come out of my mouth, but I don't know whether the current president of the United States was with prostitutes peeing on each other in Moscow in 2013. It's possible, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's possible. He's not sure, but it's possible. Because when you run the FBI, you deal with things that are just possible. Well, even after the DOJ Inspector General's report came out, essentially destroying Jim Comey's credibility, many of the claims that he's forwarded over the years, he persisted. He published a smug op-ed in the Washington Post claiming to have been vindicated of all wrongdoing. Why would Jim Comey do that? It's almost like he didn't think you had the internet and couldn't read the report for yourself. Maybe he was so used to being treated as untouchable that he started to believe that he actually was. But in the end, as always happens, reality intruded. The IG report didn't actually vindicate Jim Comey. Instead, it revealed frightful abuses of power by the FBI that he ran. Abuses that ought to terrify Americans, left, right, and center. Inspector General Michael Horowitz summed it up on Capitol Hill. Watch.
We identified significant inaccuracies and omissions in each of the 4 applications. 7 in the first application, and a total of 17 by the final renewal application.
One omission could be a mistake. It happens. 17 of them? That's not a mistake. That's either malice or it's gross incompetence or a combination of both. Either way, not reassuring. In the end, even someone as beloved by the news media as Jim Comey had to answer for the 17 omissions. So over the weekend, Comey appeared on Fox, and he said this about the IG report.
He's right, I was wrong. I was overconfident in the procedures that the FBI and Justice had built over 20 years. I thought they were robust enough. It's incredibly hard to get a FISA. I was overconfident in those because he's right. There was real sloppiness. 17 things that either should have been in the applications or at least discussed and characterized differently. It was not acceptable. And so he's right, I was wrong.
It's incredibly hard to get a FISA. Really, how incredibly hard is it, Jim Comey? Specifically, how many have been turned down in the past 15 years? Oh, you don't have those numbers, do you? Not many, is the real answer. But that wasn't even the most damning part of the interview with that liar you just saw. At one point, Jim Comey was asked whether lying to a FISA court in order to spy on an American citizen might merit some professional consequences. Here's how he responded.
If you were still there and all of this came out and it turned out it happened on your watch, would you resign?
No, I don't think so. There were mistakes I consider more consequential than this during my tenure, and the important thing is to be transparent about it.
Think about that. There were worse mistakes than knowingly using partisan lies to spy on an American citizen, but Jim Comey won't tell you what they are because he believes in transparency. Did you catch all that? That was all in one sentence, by the way. A sentence that contradicts itself. Did anyone notice? No one seemed to. Maybe we need a new Inspector General's investigation to find out what the hell he's talking about. In the meantime, how worried should we be? Can we trust the FBI is no longer being used as a political tool by the left? Andy McCarthy is a former chief assistant U.S. attorney, author of the book Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. He joins us tonight. Andy, thanks so much for coming on. Do you have any idea what former Director Comey meant when he said, I've seen worse mistakes happen under my watch, but I can't tell you what they are? What do you think they are?
No, if that's so, Tucker, it's frightening, but I thought it was part of a pattern of basically distancing himself from the investigation that up until now we had every reason to think he was pretty intimately involved in.
These people are sick.
So why would we revise our view of that? How could he not have been intimately involved in it?
I'm not revising my view of it. I don't think it's possible for an FBI director not to be involved in an investigation like this. The magnitude of this one, common sense tells us you would want to be involved. We know that he was involved in meetings with the incumbent president and the president-elect where he was going to be asked about the investigation. So any head of the FBI would want to be brought up to speed if he wasn't already up to speed. We know that when he went to see Trump at Trump Tower on January 6th, the FBI actually treated that as an investigative opportunity in the Russia investigation, where he was acting almost as if he were a case agent and was going to write a report for the investigation as he sped his way away from the meeting with Trump. So, you know, there's a lot of reason there to understand that he was involved. Plus, under FISA law, he had to certify that the surveillance that they were looking for was for foreign investigative purposes, and that there weren't any lesser intrusive means to get the same information they were looking for. So the law doesn't let them off the hook either.
So, as you noted, he's running the FBI. He's going to speak directly to the President-elect of the United States. Unbeknownst to that President-elect, the meeting is actually part of an investigation. And Comey's claiming he wasn't really involved in that investigation. I mean, that just seems like it can't be anything but a lie, can it?
Well, not only that, Tucker, but 6 days after that, they went back to the FISA court to get the first renewal application of the FISA surveillance, which it seems to me they clearly did because they wanted to get that buttoned down and done before Trump took office, when he could have been in a position to shut the investigation down. So all of this looks to me like it's pretty strategic all along the way.
So very quick, almost a time, but I can't resist. Do you sincerely believe that they sincerely believed that Donald Trump might have been a Russian agent?
Yes. Yeah, I don't think, I think, Tucker, that with the Steele dossier, Steele was pushing on an open door. I think they were predisposed to think the worst of Trump, and I don't believe they would have had a situation where they would swear under oath that the Trump campaign might be in a cyber espionage conspiracy with the Kremlin unless they believed that there was a good chance that that was true.
Boy, I mean, to believe maybe Trump had a weird personal life or wasn't good at managing casinos, okay. But that he was working for the, I mean, they're idiots, obviously, I would argue. Andy, great to see you.
There was no evidence to support that.
We choose truth over facts.
Churchy is a former deputy assistant director of counterterrorism at the FBI, and he joins us. And Terry, thanks so much for coming on. So I know that you have been concerned over the last couple of years about what Jim Comey's public appearances are doing to people's perception of the FBI, to the Bureau's credibility. Do you think this interview he did over the weekend helps or hurts?
Well, no, it doesn't help at all, but I think probably everybody's glad he's gone. Jim Comey has told so many stories and has kind of painted his own storybook land, if you want to call it that, Tucker, over the last couple of years. And he kind of walks around and lets us all know the facts of what's going on in that little land of his. But 2 reports from the IG and the Mueller report, now we know that you just didn't have the facts right. And I think all along, though, the gnawing suspicion that many of us have had, especially former agents and people who used to work on the 7th floor, is that there was just a major breakdown of discipline inside the FBI at the highest level. This isn't so much about case agents. In fact, in the IG report, there's a great example of a case agent asking a very germane question, and then he was essentially lied to by a high-level official. So those are the kind of things that are not going to go away. We still really, with all this paper and all this reporting, we still don't know why that occurred, but we can, I think, have some pretty good ideas.
How distressing is it to you to watch the former director of the FBI, the most powerful law enforcement official in the United States, in the world, likely, lie? He's clearly lying. He's clearly not telling the truth. I mean, how damaging is that to the Bureau?
It's terribly damaging, especially when you're standing in front of a seal that says fidelity, bravery, and integrity. And especially since we preach that from the minute an agent comes into the academy, or any FBI employee, not just FBI agents, FBI and support employees. And I don't think we're going to recover from that easily. I'm spoiled. I worked for many years with Louis Freeh as the FBI director. Yes. And those words meant something, Tucker. With Comey, they've been minimized, and there's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done to bring them back to life.
Man, what a shame it all is. Terry Churchy, you've been here since the beginning. We appreciate it. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Welcome to Hannity. As the Democrats are literally going over the cliff politically, they're destroying themselves. Never stop them. By the way, what we're seeing tonight is the culmination of the pathetic so-called resistance against President Trump. It is backfiring big time in the Washington swamp. Lawmakers are now set to vote on articles of impeachment. It is the last meaningless step in what has been just a baseless political smear against the president. 3 years, do nothing Democrats. The latest chapter in what has been a desperate, dishonest, nonstop effort, well, to undo a duly elected president and take the president down, impugn the will of his supporters, we the people. And like every other attempt to destroy President Trump, it is built on a pack of lies by a group of the most partisan hacks that can never be trusted. The individuals now advocating for this madness impeachment were the very same people pushing the Russia collusion hoax. They were wrong. 4 separate investigations, dead wrong. Mueller report, no collusion. And tonight, we're going to detail all of their lies, all of their corruption, all the individuals behind this. And we start with the hero of the deep state, the super patriot himself, who won't come on this program, Jim Comey. He's been lying, deceiving. He has formed the very basis of the Russia hoax. What we now know, everything we reported 2.5 years has been dead on accurate. In the fall of 2016, Comey signed off on the very first FISA warrant application against Trump campaign associate Carter Page. Remember, it's 1-step, 2-step. You get to Page, then you get into the Trump campaign transition, and as Attorney General Barr said, deep into the Trump presidency. He signed that application. He signed 3 of them ultimately. He swore that the material provided was true and accurate. On the top of a FISA application, it says verified. It was unverifiable. What he used, the overwhelming majority of information, was Hillary Clinton's dirty Russian dossier. And that was the first of many repulsive lies. The application, we now know, relied on a single source, secondhand information from Christopher Steele, being paid by the Clinton campaign and the DNC. And Comey's FISA application omitted what they knew, that Clinton paid for the material. Comey's FISA application also admitted that the material was not verified or corroborated. Well, Comey's FISA application also admitted Christopher Steele had a severe political bias against the president. There were numerous warnings he had not to use this information. And subsequent renewals submitted by Comey omitted that Steele's primary subsource, the only source, not even a source. Well, he described his own evidence as rumors, hearsay, speculation, a crude bar joke. He also admitted that the subsource even questioned Steele's credibility. Wow. And he intentionally admitted that Steele doubted the credibility of his subsource. And get this, Comey's FISA renewals straight up lied about Carter Page and his connection to the CIA. And one of Comey's lawyers fraudulently changed the document to remove the fact that Page, was actually a source for the CIA, and instead said he was not a source. But remember, Comey told us all that any claims of FISA abuse were just utter nonsense. This is a lie, what we're about to show you. Look.
I have total confidence that the FISA process was followed and that the entire case was handled in a thoughtful, responsible way by DOJ and the FBI. I think the notion that FISA was abused here is nonsense.
Nonsense. Yet another lie. Comey knew the dirty dossier was garbage. He knew it was full of unverifiable rumors and speculation. He was warned multiple times, and even Christopher Steele under oath. When he heard this, he should have gone back, because the law requires this. He said, I have no idea if any of it's true. That's why he repeatedly denied that it was used as the bulk of information in the FISA applications. That we now know also is a lie. That means Nunes was right. That means the Grassley-Graham memo was right. And that means that the Schiff show, Adam Schiff, the congenital liar, lied repeatedly too. Take a look.
You called the dossier unverified, salacious. Why did you use that to the FISA court to ask for surveillance for Carter Page? Not only use it, but you led with it. A bulk of that FISA application deals with that dossier. Why?
Yeah, that's not my recollection, Brett. And I don't know that the FISA application has been released. My recollection was it was part of a broader mosaic of facts that were laid before the FISA judge to obtain a FISA warrant.
There was a lot more than the dossier in the FISA application?
My recollection was there was a significant amount of additional material about Page and why there was probable cause to believe he was an agent of a foreign power. And the dossier was part of that, but was not all of it or a critical part of it. It's my recollection.
We choose truth over facts.
Wasn't a critical part. It basically was everything. Another lie. Inspector General finding that the dirty dossier was the central and essential piece of the FISA application. But like any self-righteous habitual liar, Comey just can't come to terms with the truth. Watch this clip from over the weekend. Take a look.
You don't see a difference between it's part of a broader mosaic and it played an essential role in establishing probable cause?
It was one of a bunch of different facts that were assembled to apply to the court. It was the one that convinced the lawyers that they had enough now with that added to the pile to go forward.
Did you know that the FBI had talked to the Russian contact and he said what Steele said he had told him was not true? Did you know this? You're the FBI director.
First, again, the report will speak for itself. I don't believe the FBI concluded that Steele's reporting was bunk after talking to a subsource. Inspector General did not find misconduct by any FBI people. He found mistakes and negligence and oversight.
No, that's not true. In the case of Kevin Kleinsmith, he has referred it for a criminal investigation.
Right, but that's not been resolved. This business with the lawyer changing some email to a partner on the team.
Now, in case you're wondering, Comey is not having a psychotic break from reality. He's just lying like he usually does through his teeth. And as Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett pointed out in his bestseller Witch Hunt, these lies are just the tip of the iceberg. First, as FBI director, look at this. Comey repeatedly reassured Donald Trump that he was not a suspect in the counter-intel investigation of Russia. A lie. Remember in the spring of 2018, Comey claimed he still had no idea who funded Steele's dossier. Lie. Before he was ultimately fired, Comey told the president he doesn't leak and he doesn't do weasel moves. That was a lie, too. In fact, Comey leaked government memos detailing meetings and conversations with the President of the United States. And Special Counsel Horowitz, well, in this case, the Inspector General, referred him to the DOJ, remember, for criminal prosecution over leaking and lack of candor. Make no mistake, there is a very real human cost to all of these lies. This is the premier law enforcement agency in the entire world. This entire Russia witch hunt that put this country through nearly 3 years of hell. Carter Page's reputation utterly destroyed, illegally spied on, his civil liberties violated, his civil rights, they didn't exist, constitutional rights non-existent. Op-ed by law professor Jonathan Turley, An Apology to Carter Page, details the reckless, nonstop smear of a private citizen, all because of Comey's fraudulent FISA application. And let's not forget about Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. How can we forget what Comey did to a 33-year veteran? And as a part of Comey's deceitful investigation into all things Trump, what did he do? He brags. Remember, first it was Andrew McCabe saying, oh, no, you don't need a lawyer. But he brags, James Comey brags, he sets up an American war hero. Oh, I'd never do this or try this in the Bush or Obama years. No, I wouldn't even dare do that. Watch this.
You look at this White House now, and it's hard to imagine 2 FBI agents ending up in the same room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration, in the George W. Bush administration, for example, or the Obama administration. And in both those administrations, there was process. And so if the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals, and who would be there. And I thought it's early enough. Let's just send a couple guys over.
These people are sick. Oh, I wouldn't do this in these other administrations. Is this the higher loyalty that you claim to possess, Jim? Because is that how you treat a 33-year veteran of this country? Served in combat, Jim. Now, that just shows you to be so deceptive, narcissistic, and yeah, you're a liar. Don't forget Jim Comey also signs the first FISA application, verified. October 2016, goes to Trump Tower 2017. Oh, it's salacious but unverified, President-elect. Lie again. Then he signs 2 more FISA applications, verified. He lies. And the great irony of all of this, it was Lieutenant General Flynn, not Comey, who now faces years behind bars for lying when the FBI didn't even think he was lying. But they were going after his kid, and he was bankrupt. Oh, let's see, you're going to prosecute my son, or I fall on the sword. I'm shocked at General Flynn's decision. Without a doubt, Comey played a central role in what is the weaponization of these most powerful tools that we entrust to our government. And they turned them against we, the people. And he didn't act alone. Let's see what former CIA Director John Brennan, another notorious liar, let's see what role he's played in all of this. I can't wait to get to the bottom of that. And according to multiple sources, he strongly advocated for Hillary Clinton's bought and paid for dirty dossier to be included in the official U.S. intel assessment. Time will tell. The Inspector General Horowitz confirmed this fact in his report because in 2017 we do know this. Brennan clearly lied to Congress when he said the exact opposite. Take a look.
Do you know if the Bureau ever relied on the Steele dossier as part of any court filings, applications, petitions, pleadings?
I have no awareness.
Did the CIA rely on it?
No.
Why not?
Because it wasn't part of the corpus of intelligence information that we had. It was not in any way used as a basis for the intelligence community assessment that was done. It was not.
Just wondering what Prosecutor Durham, Attorney General Barr, they seem to know an awful lot about this that we will learn in the days and weeks ahead. Remember, this is the same former CIA director used his important status to push baseless, harmful conspiracy theories against the President of the United States repeatedly. Take a look.
I think he's afraid of the president of Russia. Why? I think one can speculate as to why. That the Russians may have something on him personally that they could always roll out and make his life more difficult. Clearly, I think it's important for us to be able to improve relations with Russia. But the fact that he has had this fawning attitude toward Mr. Putin has not said anything negative about him. I think continues to say to me that he does have something to fear.
Lies, deceptions, hoax, conspiracy theories, rumor, speculation, conjecture. Two of America's most powerful bureaucrats abused their power. They spread false information. They tried to undo a presidential election, and they got caught. Their corruption must not go unpunished.
House Judiciary Dems are up to their usual hijinks, this time dropping a nearly 700-page impeachment report in the middle of the night, a week before Christmas. Democrats are now accusing Trump of committing bribery and wire fraud. Oh, throw something else in. Two crimes curiously left out of the articles of impeachment, heading to the floor for a vote this week. Joining me now is Bob Barr, former Clinton impeachment manager, as well as former federal prosecutor and Georgia congressman. Also here is Byron York, chief political correspondent for the Washington Examiner and Fox News contributor, and Congressman Andy Biggs, House Judiciary Committee member who had to endure last week. So we're just going to say, Congressman, I'm glad you're okay after a nightmarishly long series of proceedings. But before we begin, I want you all to listen to what Senator Pelosi said. Do we call her Senator? Congresswoman Pelosi, Speaker Pelosi said when asked why charges they're now entertaining against Trump were not in their articles.
Someone accused him of bribery. Why did you decide not to make bribery in one of the articles? I myself am not a lawyer. Sometimes I act like one. Not as often as I act as a doctor. I practice medicine on the side without benefit of diploma, too. This is a decision that was recommended by our working together with our committee chairs, our attorneys, and the rest.
Right. Sorry. Just water. Water's a theme. It's like renewing, right? Now, Congressman, it seems like they're just making this up as they go along. I am a lawyer, and so I follow this very closely. It's in the long report. For what purpose? What purpose are they throwing the wire fraud, the bribery into that report?
Well, because they don't have anything in the articles of impeachment that are worth pursuing.
Right.
Their articles and also this new Nadler report are as incoherent as Nancy Pelosi's explanation. They don't know what they're doing, and that's why we've gone everywhere from the term quid pro quo right into something like bribery and this wire fraud issue. who knows what's next? And it's an embarrassment, quite frankly.
Byron, they have done everything to try to get people to pay attention to this.
At the hearing with the legal scholars, one of the legal scholars, Pamela Carlin, the professor from Stanford,
Our favorite. That's our favorite one.
Tried to explain that bribery actually meant something else. She called it constitutional bribery, saying that the founders at the time they drafted the Constitution had a different view of what it is. So what the president did fits that definition, even if it doesn't really fit today's criminal code definition of bribery. And then you look in this report, and it's got the criminal code saying that the president has committed bribery.
She gave them the idea to phrase it the way they did.
Well, I think she gave them an alternative, which is in their report. But I think that they were responding to critics, Republican critics, like Congressman Biggs, who said there's no accusation of the president.
But it's not in the articles of impeachment. So it's like, you can talk and you can make these points and you can write a long report, but if you don't take it seriously, it's not in the articles of impeachment. And Congressman Barr, here's what Chuck Schumer said today about flip-flopping on calling for impeachment witnesses. Watch.
1999 was a different case. There were all the obvious reasons why they did not want a witness like Monica Lewinsky testifying in public. I was there, and it related to what the questions might be about, that the whole nation, including children, would be watching. It's a totally different situation. There's no analogy.
We choose truth over facts.
Bob, is that how you remember it? I also want your take on the previous question.
Well, it's sort of an alternative universe and an alternative memory that we have here. Chuck Schumer, back in 1999, was among those who wanted nothing whatsoever to do with impeachment, no witnesses, nothing. They wanted to just rush it through, and unfortunately we had a Republican majority at the time under Trent Lott that caved in to pressure from Schumer and others. But this notion that you were talking about a few moments ago with your other guests, Laura, about throwing in terms like bribery and extortion and so forth, it makes clear that what this document is, this large lump of coal that deposited itself in the House last evening, late last night, is simply a document to allow every Democrat out there who wants to find something on which to run against Trump or say bad about him can do so. At the ultimate, though, it is absolutely outrageous for this document, an official document of the U.S. House of Representatives, to say that this president is a threat to national security and is a danger to the country. I mean, that's just over the top and it ought to have no place in any public document, much less one from the House of Representatives.
It's a political document. I was going to make it real. This is a political document. And it's dropped it when it was dropped, Byron New York, for political purposes. That's why it was dropped. So it's not, they don't care about these issues. They don't think he committed wire fraud, but they know they're going down. They know they're losing support by the day. The longer this goes on, the more support they bleed.
They've tried so hard to capture the imagination of the American people. Remember with the Mueller report, they said when we get Mueller, if we can have hearings, turn it into compelling TV, that will capture the nation's imagination. Well, that didn't happen. Then you've had Ukraine come up, and they didn't have a neutral fact finder like Mueller. They had no report to do, so they just created these hearings in the hopes of making a really good TV show, and it just didn't happen.
These people are sick. Congressman Biggs, it's embarrassing. This whole thing, this entire process. I've tried to treat it seriously when I can, but half the time I just want to burst out laughing because they are taking a baseball bat and knowing it's going to hurt when they hit themselves in the face, and they just go ahead and smash, smash, smash. Oh, maybe it won't hurt this time. And then they're basically just going to be on the floor unconscious soon. This is what it looks like. I can't believe they keep doing this.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I find myself saying, if I wasn't here, I wouldn't believe this. No. This is just self-abnegation and to the highest degree, and it is comical in one sense because you see them rushing around, and let's face it, Nadler had to write a longer one than Schiff because he was left out. So they're going to keep piling on. Who knows what's going to happen next?
Bob, we're going to talk to Senator Hawley in a moment, but this moves on to the Senate. Given what you've seen in the abuses in FISA and the politicization of all of this from the beginning with surveilling the Trump administration, and they were spied on, what do you think should happen next in the Senate? Just a quick motion to dismiss and try to get this done quickly? Or should witnesses be called and really put a stake through the heart of this type of bias?
The Senate majority, the Republicans that is, they should go to President Trump and do what he wants. It is his reputation, it is his legacy on the line, not Mitch McConnell's, not anybody else over there. I think this is the only opportunity, that is a Senate trial, for the president to clear the air and present a full and complete context in which his policy decisions were made. None of that came out in the House. They didn't allow it. So I think that there needs to be a full, robust trial in the Senate, and the president needs to be very adept at picking a good team. He ought to follow, for example, to be honest with you, the team that President Clinton chose back in 1999, which did a very good job of presenting his case, his defense in the Senate.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. And joining me now.
After a full month of watching public hearings on impeachment, Democrats have not gained support, they have lost it. In late October, when this began, about half the country backed impeachment. 44% said they were opposed to impeachment. In the most recent polling, those numbers have inverted. In other words, the more people learned about impeachment, the less they wanted impeachment. That's not one person's opinion. That is the sum total of the polling. The numbers could not be clearer on this question. And yet, even in the face of all those data, elite Democrats still will not admit it. They're literally in denial. Watch Democratic Party cheerleader Jeffrey Toobin attack his own company's polling when it doesn't match what he believes must be true.
You see a decline from our last poll in Democratic support from 90% down to 77%.
Can I just say to my twin brother that I don't believe that poll for 1 second.
What part?
The 90 to 77%. It's just I don't believe it. Well, like, it makes no sense that that number would change like that. I mean, life has shown us that polls are sometimes wrong. And, David, that poll is wrong. Just because I said so, okay?
Why don't you believe? Well, because I don't. Because I look out my window and I see the horizon. That means it's flat. You can tell me the earth is round, but I just don't believe it. Enough with your dumb numbers and your scientific theories. I just don't believe it, says the legal analyst.
We choose truth over facts.
These people are sick.